Hey, what's the story? Yours truly, Philbo here, and welcome back to Philbo Reviews for a brand new segment called the Nostalgia Review. Every once in a while, I thought to myself, if you watch an old school film that you've seen a bunch of times, that you really enjoy, maybe just do a video where you kind of gush over it and you talk about it and you reminisce about it and all that good stuff. So, me and the family watched a film that I thought would be very important for us to watch, as it was terribly important to me as a young man in the 1990s, and it was very important to all people who watched this film. And as you know, clicking on the thumbnail, this film I'm talking about is John Singleton's 1991 coming of age crime drama hood film, Boyz in the Hood. The late great John Singleton, as John Singleton passed away in 2019 from complications of a stroke. God bless and keep that man. What an incredible writer and director. Some of his other films include Higher Learning with Ice Cube and Michael Rappaport. What an absolutely stunning film. Michael Rappaport in particular is stunning in that movie. Also, the incredible 2005 film Four Brothers with Mark Wahlberg, Therese Gibson, and Andre 3000. So he has some incredible films under his belt. Poetic Justice as well, and he did a Too Fast, Too Furious. About 12 films he did, but his first film, his directorial debut, written and directed by him, was of course Boyz in the Hood, and it also stars Cuba Gooding Jr. It stars Ice Cube, also in his feature film debut. He was obviously riding the wave of his NWA fame, the rap group, of course. And also we have Morris Chestnut, and we have Lawrence Fishburne, the incredible Lawrence Fishburne, who, of course, plays Furious Styles. We'll get into him now in a minute. Also, we have Nina Long, Tyra Farrell, and we have Regina King in her feature debut as well, and the incredible Angela Bassett as Trey's mother. And of course, we know Angela Bassett from Tina. What's Love Got to Do with It? That incredible biopic of Tina Turner, where we had Angela Bassett playing Tina, of course, and we had Lawrence Fishburne playing Ike Turner. And I don't think any of us will forget that film anytime soon. What an absolute harrowing tale of just the most toxic, violent, disgusting relationship, not on behalf of the lady Tina Turner, of course, but her sadistic, horrible, abusive husband Ike Turner, who was portrayed absolutely with power and absolute terror by Larry Fishburne. And what an incredible film and an incredible performance from both of them. But we have them here in John Singleton's corner. He wrote and directed this film, and this is, we've just watched this as a family, and there was not a sound in the room. You know, sometimes the kids would ask a question here and there about what this means or what that means, and I told them just watch the film. They covered their eyes over certain bits, of course, that aren't terribly suitable, but basically there was silence during the entire film, which really spoke volumes. Because let's get into it, shall we? This is a spoiler review. This film was out in 1991, and if you haven't seen it, turn it off now. I suggest you go and see it. You check it out. Not terribly easy to find on the streaming platforms. I had to rent it from YouTube. I couldn't find my own copy of it. I had it on DVD, and it's lost amongst my hundreds and hundreds of DVD CD holders. But we rented it on YouTube, and we are so glad we did. So we start off the story 1984 in South Central, where we meet Trey Styles, who lives with his mother, and he's intelligent. He's capable. He's good at school, but he has a real issue with respect. He has a real issue with authority, and he has an issue with his temper. So him and his mom made an agreement. You see some scenes of him hanging around as a young kid. They see that there's, imagine like walking down from school and there's a police tape cordoned off. There's been a murder and there's still raw, thick, hardened blood on the ground from a crime scene. And then a few blocks from your house, in a field, there's a dead body just sitting there unreported, and no one taking it away. It's just left there to stink. I mean, it's absolutely horrific, and I can't imagine, I mean, living in those conditions in the early 90s, the late 80s, early 90s, in that part of Los Angeles must have been horrific. So the early 80s, of course, as well, this was happening. Set in 1984, we start our journey with Trey Styles, and he and his mom Rava, played by Angela Bassett, says if you get into one more fight or get into any sort of crap, you're going to have to go and live with your dad in Crenshaw. So they had a written agreement. So she brings him, brings him to his father and says, I can't teach him how to be a man. You have to show him how to be a man. The parents were separated. He would usually have seen his dad on the weekend. And he reunites with his childhood friends that we got to know in the first 30 minutes of the film. We have Darrin Doughboy Baker, played by Ice Cube, of course, and his half-brother Ricky, played by Morris Chestnut, and their friend Chris. So he's settling into life at home, and the first thing we notice with Furious's character, he wants to show his son responsibility, he wants to show him integrity, and he wants to show him that you can't be a layabout and no goodnik, for want of a better word. His friends just lay around, sit around, have their parents pick up for them, don't do their home. You know, he wants to teach his son responsibilities because he's given a very unique opportunity to raise his son in his teenage years, which most fathers at the time wouldn't give a shit and wouldn't do it. And two, he's a tough father, but he's caring, he's attentive, but he has a strict nature, but he is attentive, and he does care about Trey and his upbringing. So now back in Crenshaw, I think it's the first or second night they're there, and someone attempts to rob their home, and Furious unloads 2 rounds on his 357, and they're sitting for almost an hour. 2 big holes in the front door. The guy got away. 2 big holes in the front door. They're waiting in the middle of the night, freezing cold, for the cops to arrive. And there's one white cop and there's one black cop. And the black cop gets out, eating a burrito and having a cup of coffee. So obviously he got a bite to eat before responding to this call. But the lessons that it's teaching us here is that the white cop is respectful and civil and courteous, while the black officer is he's demonstrating self-hatred, saying that I wish you had shot him, so there'd be one less on the street for me to deal with. And Furious is furious. He just can't believe that these are the protectors. As a self-hating black officer saying that he wished that he had killed this man for, I mean, these are their protectors. I mean, the bottom line is, America, they got us, the black neighborhood in Los Angeles just hate each other. They can't stand each other, and even the police express self-hatred. I mean, to have such a low opinion of life and a low opinion of your peers and the people you're supposed to be protecting just blows Furious' mind. And he sends Trey into the house and he goes, don't listen to him. He's not right. So he goes fishing with his dad, and his dad teaches him about, he asks him what he knows about sex and what he knows about that whole thing, and and Tre as a kid would probably answer, well, I stick my thing in her, and then 9 months later she's pregnant. And he goes, well, is that all you think it is? And he goes, yeah, that's it. And he goes, listen, any fool with a dick can make a baby, but only a real man can raise his children. And ever since I was a kid, that statement has rang true so much with me, and I'm sure any self-respecting man out there. It's the truest thing ever. Any man is capable of making life, but it only takes a true man to raise a child. And that is John Singleton again. He wrote this movie. What a beautiful, beautiful line. And Lawrence Fishburne portrays this father in such a genuine, down-to-earth, relatable way that it's just a beautiful scene. They're fishing, and when they're fishing, the two lads who he would have been hanging around that day ended up shoplifting. Doughboy and his brother, Doughboy and Chris, ended up shoplifting, and they got arrested and sent to a juvenile facility. So thankfully that his dad brought him on that fishing trip in the afternoon, because the alternative would have been possibly, not definitely, but possibly being caught stealing and just starting this snowball of bad decisions. So we skip forward 7 years, and Doughboy, who's now a Crips member and a drug dealer, is having a welcome back party from prison, and we get reintroduced to Ricky, who loves and adores football and ever has since he was a kid. He now has a little kid and a partner, and he's doing well for himself. He's an incredible football player, and he's planning to go to college, and he's planning to get a scholarship in football, and he wants to make the best of what he can. He is doing the best he can, but he realizes that his surroundings in this setup is no good, and we have Tre as well, grown up, and he has a girlfriend as well that he's trying to develop a relationship with, and it just goes through the motions of life. And as we see, Ice Cube's character Doughboy is just going completely down the wrong road. Chris as well, all the group, they sit around drinking, selling drugs, and disrespecting each other, disrespecting all the women around them, speaking to them like they're second class citizens, which is ridiculous. The use of the term bitch and hoe is literally used every 2 minutes in the film, which of course I don't agree with, but that was the mentality. That was as I said, no respect for each other, no respect for the women in their area. The police have no respect for them. They have no respect for the police. They're just this self-hating culture in the 80s and 90s in Los Angeles, in South Central, in the likes of Watts, Crenshaw and Compton, it's tragic. This film portrays it in a very, very realistic way. And as the film goes on, there's a bit of a back and forth with Ricky and one of the rival gang members. All he does is push into him, and he says, "What the fuck, man? What are you doing bumping into me?" And then the story takes a massive turn for the worst. And then and it's just, the character development in this film is stunning. The relationship between the lads as kids in '84, and then the 7 years later as grown teenagers, nearly full blown adults. And Furious is the center of this film. Tre's father, he is determined to make sure his son makes these good decisions. And Ricky gets interviewed by a college representative, and he says, well, you got to do your SATs. You got to get a certain score before you can get to college, and then before you can do a scholarship. And he is taken on, and his mom, and we have because Ricky and Doughboy have two different fathers, and his mom very clearly treat him as the trophy boy, and she gives zero love, zero attention, and zero anything to Darrin, her other son, which has a massive effect on him because he feels like no one cares about him. The country, the government doesn't care about him. His family, his mom doesn't care about him. All she cares about is Ricky and his scholarship, and it's all just a snowball effect. And all he has is his gang life. All he has is his reputation as a badass, and you know what? It's only going to end one way. So Ricky has done his exam, and Tre did it as well. He is trying to get on the right track, and after harassment from the police, Tre is losing his cool. He does not want to be around us anymore. He can't hang out on a Friday night without one of the rival gangs pulling out an Uzi and firing it into the air and clearing the whole area. He can't walk down the street without someone pulls out a double barrel shotgun as he's just passing him on the street for no reason in the back of a car. And two police pull him over and shove a gun into his neck, telling him that he isn't shit. He's just another piece of shit from the hood, and he could kill him right now and nobody would give a fuck. So Tre has experience. Tre has a good soul. Tre is a good character, and his father has raised him well. But he's got his friends, and he's still, no matter what age you get, you still need to listen to your father. You need to listen in certain situations where violence and bloodshed could be on the cards for you, even at a young age of 17 and 18. You've got to listen to your father. But so many people don't have that father figure in this setup, and they don't have that privilege of someone who cares enough to go put the gun down. I mean, Ricky goes to the shop to get some cornmeal for his girl, and they run into the guys that they bumped into on the Friday night in Crenshaw, and all he did was bump into them. Couple of harsh words, that was it. But they notice that they're following them in the car. So Cuba Gooding Jr.'s character and Morris Chestnut, they run for it, and thinking that the coast is clear, they split up so they won't get caught by this rival gang. But they pull up, as we all know who've seen this film. They pull up, and Cuba Gooding Jr. notices them, and he screams, "Ricky!" And Ricky sets off on his toes, but they have a dead center shot with a double barrel sawn off, and they blast him twice in the back, right through his chest, just for bumping into them, just for talking back to them. Can you imagine? And that scene is harrowing. When you see that Tre has some light. There's light at the end of the tunnel for Tre, but we all were backing Ricky as the one that was going to get out of the hood, to move on, to leave this type of life behind him. And he is the one, just by association of who he's with and who his brother is, gets gunned down just for bumping into someone. And Doughboy shows up in the car because he notices that they've been scoping the area, and they bring him home, and he's drenched in blood, dead on arrival. His baby crying, his girlfriend crying, his mother just distraught. It is an absolutely harrowing scene when he is brought back to the family home and laid on the couch. Doughboy tries to console his mother, saying that it wasn't his fault, but she of course blames him immediately. Guilty by association. I mean, he's a Crips member. I mean, the Bloods and the Crips, of course, being a significant rivalry back then. What an unbelievably powerful film. I mean, you could hear a pin drop in the room when Ricky is shot, and the kids, "Oh, no, Ricky," and I'm like, "No," and I'm like, tears were running down my face and Natasha's face. Just absolutely harrowing. Such potential in life taken away for no fucking good reason. And then the cycle continues. The first thing Doughboy does is grabs his gun. Chris grabs the AK-47, loads it up, and they cruise the area looking for these guys to exact revenge for Ricky's death. And Tre wants to go. He goes into his house, he loads up his 6-shooter, but his dad thankfully catches him and says, I'm sorry for what happened to Ricky, and I pray for his family and his friends, but that's their problem. You're my son. What a scene. You're my son. You're my problem. So give me the gun. Give me the fucking gun. So he hands him the gun and breaks down in tears. But then when Furious turns his back for a second, he jumps out his bedroom window and hops in the back of the car with the lads to go and find these guys and murder them. Furious is absolutely beside himself with fear that his son is going to commit murder, and then murder will be committed on vengeance on him, and the cycle will continue and continue and continue. And as they cruise around looking for these guys who murdered Ricky, loading the AK, that whole bit, Tre says to himself, let me out. Something in him just triggered and said, no, I can't be, because you know how it goes. It's just, it'll never stop. What stops the cycle of revenge? So he gets out of the car and returns home, much to his dad's disgust, as his father is under the impression that he took part in this revenge. But Doughboy and the other 2 boys find the 3 people responsible for Ricky's murder, and they murder them. They gun them down, and then Doughboy very, very up close and personally shoots them stone dead right there in a parking lot. And lo and behold, Doughboy wakes up the next morning and sits with Tre on the porch, and he says he doesn't know how he feels about it. He says it's just someone's probably gonna try and murder me next. But you know, we all gotta go sometime. You know, that's just how it is here. I mean, such little value and such little care and concern for their own well-being in their own lives, in their own neighborhood, in their own surroundings. A 17, 18-year-old just sitting there saying, or maybe 19, 20, I'm not even sure. Well, say they were 12 and then 7. Yeah, say 19, 20. Sitting there going, well, you gotta go sometime. Imagine at 19, 20 sitting down going, yeah, my days are numbered here. I mean, it is tragic beyond words. And he says he ain't got no brother no more. And his mom, he ain't got no mother no more. She's disowned him. And he said, that's just the way it is. And it's accepted. He was looking on the news, and all he saw was all this violence overseas and violence in Europe and violence here and there. And he says, not a single thing reported about my brother Ricky and his murder. And it's like the world either knows, doesn't care, or ignorance is bliss. What they don't know, they don't care about. But Los Angeles, South Central Los Angeles at that time was just left alone to destroy itself and left alone to implode on itself. And then it shows in the captions that he buried his brother Ricky the next day, and then a week later Doughboy was murdered. Of course, revenge on those people, and then, you know, the cycle will keep going until every young person is dead. It's hopelessly tragic, and it's so, the fact that it's completely and utterly true to life. John Singleton left no stone unturned. He made as real a film as he possibly could, and you feel it through the film. I mean, of course, I'm not American, and I'm not from Los Angeles. I am from Ireland, and of course, there's gangs in Ireland. There's violence. There's drug wars. There's all that kind of stuff. But this particular tale, I just can't fathom what it must have been like living in that environment, always looking over your shoulder, and someone could possibly murder you at any point just for talking to them wrong, or just because you're in a rival gang. You could have children, you could have brothers and sisters, It doesn't matter. The morality of these young people is zero. All they know is vengeance, death, anger, drugs, alcohol, no guidance, no help from, I mean, the police are supposed to be protecting them in these areas, and the police have more hate than anybody. But Tre gets out. He goes to college with his girlfriend. She's in a separate college, and he makes it out in one piece. In closing, this is a perfect film for me. It's 5 out of 5 stars without a shadow of a doubt. The writing is stunning. The camera work, you care so much about the characters. The character development is some of the best I've ever seen. Larry Fishburne's performance as Furious Styles, the dad, is one of the best, most believable, most influential father characters I have ever seen in a film. And what he said and the way he handles Tre and the way he wants to raise him. My son is now 9, and I will absolutely enforce every ideal. Obviously I have my own, but from this film, that's why this film is so important for everyone to see, especially young males, kind of 13 to 20. It's a real warning. It's a real wake-up call. You know what? Listen to your father. Listen to your parents. You know, if everybody's doing it, does not mean you have to do it. You know, be a leader, not a follower. As Fury said, be a leader, not a follower. Show an example. Don't chase after an example from someone else. You show the example of how you want to live. So, thanks for watching. I know it's a bit long, but I could talk about this film all day, every day. Cuba Gooding Jr. is incredible in it. Morris Chestnut is great. Ice Cube is a wonder in his first role. My kids were amazed that Ice Cube could pull off such an incredible performance because they're so used to seeing him in comedy, which he does great. But this first role, absolutely flawless. Perfectly written, perfectly paced, about an hour and 50 minutes. When it hits hard. And that scene when Ricky is brought back to his living room after being killed is horrifying. And I held my breath and the tears were pouring down my face. It's absolutely incredibly powerful, meaningful, and true. I mean, once upon a time in South Central Los Angeles, in the eyes of the great John Singleton. I can't recommend it enough. If you haven't seen it, get your act together. Check out Boyz n the Hood, 5 out of 5, all day long and twice on Sundays. I hope you drop a comment below. Let me know if you like this nostalgia review, where I just kind of gush over an old school film that I've seen loads and loads of times and that I love and respect. So, thanks a million for watching. Let's do something random. Drop a Apple emoji in the comments if you made it this far in the video. So drop an apple emoji, an apple emoji down in the comments if you made it this far in the video. Drop a comment if you've seen Boyz n the Hood. What you think of it? Do you love it? Do you not think it's accurate? Do you think it's extremely accurate? Do you think it's powerful? Do you think it stands the test of time? Let's talk about it respectfully in the comments below. Thanks a million for watching. May the sun always shine. God bless and keep John Singleton. And thank you for this incredible film. Yeah, yours truly, Philbo. Outbo.